Okay, honestly, Suicide Squad is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I know, shocking, right? There is a good game buried underneath microtransactions, boring villains, unexciting missions, and a half-baked story. There is a core underneath all that I feel could be salvaged. However, I didn't play the game when it first launched, so I know that there's a lot of people that have frustrations for how the game launched and how buggy it was, and honestly are still dealing with those bugs to this day. Here are my 7 deadly sins of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Also, just note, this video will have spoilers. Number 1, value. Coming in at $70, you get a story that takes roughly 10 hours to beat. Now, I don't want to say that it is all about how much time you can put into the story that determines the value of a game. I look at something like Hellblade 2, and yeah, maybe the story was underwhelming at times, but the cinematic and the scopes of the cinematics are just light years ahead of anything else. And for a game that's on Xbox Game Pass that you can just download and play if you have Game Pass, that seems like a fair value. No, it didn't really innovate off of Hellblade 1 besides graphics. At some point when I play it, we'll do a separate video on that. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a good value. You know, especially on the Game Pass. Maybe not the $50 price tag, but for the Game Pass, it makes sense. So the value of this game is deeper than that. It's deeper than the 10-hour story. It's the 3 missions you play over and over throughout the story. The reskinned Flash boss fight at the end of the game. The end game being those same 3 missions that you played for those 10 hours. That is where the value is severely unbalanced. It's fine if the story is only 10 hours long, but then there has to be meat to the end game and to the mission structures. If there's not, then players won't last playing your game, and we've seen that happen with the Steam charts. I believe that the 24-hour peak was less than 200, maybe even less than 100. So that's the first point. It's just the value is so unbalanced because you don't get a lot for your $70 here. There's not a lot to do outside of those 3 same missions over and over and over. And this is a game that they expect you to put 100 hours into. That's why it's live service. That's what they're expecting. But you get so burnt out on it so quick. Number 2, the story. There are many character choices that the writers thought would be okay, but ended up not working, especially because this game is set in the Arkham universe. Bruce Wayne coming back as Batman in and of itself does not make sense since the trilogy ended on in such a good way. It doesn't make sense for it to take place in the Arkham universe. They only did that to boost sales. Harley flirting with a literal child and sexually assaulting Deadshot, that was interesting. That was a choice they made. Captain Boomerang peeing on the Flash, the Justice League members getting humiliating deaths besides Wonder Woman, I wonder why. The list of why on earth was this important and why is it here goes on and on and on in this game. The story is so all over the place, and there's so many times that something will happen to the Suicide Squad and you'll think, you know, this person could just kill them right now. There's this like Universal Ride-esque scene in the very beginning where Green Lantern is just taking you through the city, and you're just looking at this and you're like, you're just monologuing. You're villain monologuing right now. Squish them to death. You could do that right now, and there is absolutely nothing that this squad of stupid people could do as you just go yoink, and all of their guts come out both sides of them. It's graphic, but it's true. Let's move on we're gonna move on to number 3 now because I can't talk about that for too long because there's so much. It's every part of the story. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And at the end of the video, I will explain a way that they could have done it that makes a little bit more sense and probably would have been fun. So stick around for that. Number 3, the skill tree and gear. I don't know why it is set up this way, But as I play with friends, we all receive a legendary gun within the first couple hours of the game. And then throughout the whole story, I never needed to change that gun. Every other gun that I got throughout gameplay was never better than that first gun I got within the first couple hours. None of the other guns did more damage or had any better stats than the first one. Also, the skill tree. The skill tree is set up really weird. It's these tiers. So you have 3 tiers, and then you can't put all of your points into one tier. You have to unlock them one level at a time from like left to right almost. And so you can't put all your points into one tier and make a specific build for a character, which is kind of odd for a looter shooter sort of game where there's different builds and different guns and different things that you can do, so you could focus more on being quick and having quick traversal mechanics. But on this, you're just unlocking everything all at once. Just really a weird, odd choice for this sort of game, because normally that doesn't happen, and you know, it kind of defeats the purpose of the game in and of itself. There's also so many numbers of currencies to keep track of. It still confuses me on how I'm supposed to unlock the Joker or even start season 1. I don't know what I'm supposed to grind, you know, because of all the currencies and all the different things that you get and all the flashing lights that pop up all the time. It's like there's so much going on at one point, and this is overload to my brain. Let's move on. Number 4. Oh, baby, you knew we had to talk about this. Microtransactions. I don't know of a single person that would look at the skins in this game and go, yes, I want to spend X amount of dollars on that skin. I've looked through the subreddit of Suicide Squad, and there are a lot of posts that are like, when are we going to get skins that we actually want? Why does Multiverses have skins that we actually want and Suicide Squad doesn't? Many posts like that. And they are terrible and way too expensive. They're terrible looking. There have also been many posts on the subreddit that people have not received their Lex coins or whatever they're called, because Suicide Squad did early access, and then none of the servers worked, so nobody could get into the game, and they were like, oh, well, because you can't do this, we'll give you these coins to buy skins. And there was a lot of people that just never received those coins, and then the people were complaining that the skins were 1,100 coins, and so what did Rocksteady do? They raised the skins to 1,500. That's the decisions that they make that make absolutely no freaking sense. And the fact that this game is still $70, okay? It shouldn't have been released at that price point. That price point is reserved for complete experiences such as Baldur's Gate, GTA, Red Dead, Hogwarts Legacy, just to name a few. I'm sick of games releasing at those price points and having the philosophy that we can fix it later. It is underhanded and greedy, and it is not a complete experience. Suicide Squad was not a complete experience when it launched, and it's still not. I could go on and on. Okay, going on. Number 5. There are still bugs. Okay, so I'm basing this off of my experience. I haven't experienced that many bugs playing. There were a few. There was a bug where one of the characters was just invisible. And it wasn't one that I was playing. It was just like an AI that was invisible. Me and my friend both saw them as invisible. Don't know why. That's fine though. I mean, that's not game breaking. There was another where my friend's screen went completely black and he couldn't see anything, had to restart the game. Again, nothing super game breaking for us. However, there have been multiple reports of people getting stuck in tutorials while changing Elseworlds. Why did I say Elseworlds like that? What the frick? Episode 1 of the first season not loading properly, and some people to this day still cannot log into the game. Like the early access days, still cannot get into it. A lot of people are also reporting the game crashing at random points. I think one of the points was like trying to merge something, some sort of item unlock, and then the game will just crash. I have no clue what Rocksteady is doing, but they are definitely not helping their game at this moment. That is for sure. They are just releasing things, hoping that something sticks. They're throwing it at the wall and not fixing or acknowledging any of the bugs or problems that are had in the game. Almost like a Bethesda. Yeah, basically like a Bethesda. There's just Bethesda now. Anywho, let's move on to number 6. Boss fights. I touched on it a little bit earlier, and I think that it's big enough to have its own sin, so that's what I'm doing. The boss fights in this game are atrocious. They're so bad. So, the Flash and Green Lantern boss fights were probably the best the game had to offer. It is just sad that we see the Justice League for the first time in the Arkham universe, and they're controlled by Brainiac and killed in such disrespectful ways. However, it is after the story is done that the boss fights just get stupid. All the boss fights is Brainiac as the Justice League, like morphing into the Justice League in different worlds. There's no substance or variety to them. There's no special, like, different things between the Brainiacs where they're just fighting Brainiac. It's just like, oh, I'm Brainiac. Just kidding. Spins super quick. It turns into the Superman. Alright, it is the same fight that you fought as Superman, but it's Brainiac and he's purple and he's glowing. And that's it. That's the boss fights. On to the next point. I think that proved my point enough, right? Like, it's just dumb. Point number 7. Justice League clones. So, this kind of goes in with point number 6. There are a lot of theories that the Justice League are just clones, and we killed clones of them. Here's their mistake. They kill the Justice League, and there are hints that there are clones and the real ones are on the ship and all that stuff. But the problem with that is that they put themselves in a lose-lose situation. The Justice League comes back, and oh, they got scared about killing the Justice League, and they're not doubling down on their decision to kill the Justice League. Alright, fine. So the Justice League doesn't come back, and you actually killed the Justice League as a Suicide Squad. But at that point, you're just left with an ending that feels wrong. That these larger-than-life heroes were actually killed by 4 hillbillies that had bullets and boomerangs. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, not only is the game broken, buggy, full of microtransactions that don't make sense, full of gear and loot and skill trees that don't make sense, and arbitrary coins and grinding that doesn't make any sense. But they're also failing at the story as well, where it's like, these guys stand no chance. Again, Green Lantern could have just squashed them. The Flash, in a blink of an eye, pulled Lex Luthor's heart out of his chest. Why didn't he do it to the rest of the squad? It doesn't make sense at all. So, with that being said, here's my conclusion. The thing is, the traversal and some of the shooting mechanics are actually fun in the game. However, they put so many hurdles in front of that core fun that makes it not fun. Again, there's a core deep beneath all the crap that has fun mechanics, but it is not worth $70. It is not worth the bugs and glitches, and unless they overhaul missions and boss fights, which I doubt is going to happen, they have a plan and they seem to just be sticking to it, they are left with an incomplete mess that could have at least been fun. I think at the end of the day, they took the story too seriously and expected players to actually connect with killing their heroes. Here is my thought of what they should have done to make the story make a little more sense. They should have said from the beginning that these people that you are fighting are clones of the Justice League, because they could have given them a weakness that made sense, like maybe something like if they're too far away from Brainiac's ship and that's how he controls them, they are able to kill them because their power is weakened. That would have made so much more sense on why these hillbillies people that are just guys with guns could kill the Justice League, because they're just clones, and you do X, Y, and Z to get them away from the ship. Every boss fight is different to get them away from the ship, and once they're far enough away, you can kill them because their power is weakened because they're not close to Brainiac. That solves majority of the problem. Not only that, it allows you to have a good endgame, because the endgame is hopping to different Elseworlds to try and recruit more members for the squad, or other versions of the Justice League to save your own Justice League, which would have made, again, so much more sense. There's also apparently We didn't kill the OG Brainiac, we killed Earth 2's Brainiac, and that's why the ship is still there, which again, everything I said fits in to that scenario as well. It's a very minor change that fixes a lot of the problems of the game. Here's the thing too, right? I think that if the game is between $20 and $25, it's fine. You know, like that. Yeah, okay, I could see you buying it and having some fun with it. You know, it's a turn your brain off, don't think about it too hard horde shooter, basically. Doesn't feel like a $70 game, and I have no idea what Rocksteady has been doing for 9 years. So yeah, that's my 7 deadly sins of Suicide Squad. I still, think that the game can be fun. There's just hurdles in front of the fun that you either gotta look past and you have to really, really look past them, really hard. Or they just take the hurdles out and then it all makes sense, you know? I think that there still could be a chance if they just worked a little harder at it. If they said, okay, we're gonna kind of scrap this roadmap plan that we have. Let's focus on getting the game fixed. I don't think they're gonna do that. But if they did, it would probably save their game. So, leave a comment down below on what you think of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, how your experience went. I enjoyed some of it, but there was just a lot of hurdles, again, to get to the fun mechanic part of everything. So, leave a comment, make sure you like, subscribe, all the jazz for more of this sort of content, and we'll keep on rolling them out. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I will talk to you all later. Bye.